So in this unit, we're going to cover social media as a potential place where we can promote our message, our product, which might be physical activity or might be eating more fruits and vegetables or not smoking, those kind of things. Those are our products. And one of the ways that we could market that product is by using social media if the target audience we are looking to work with, if they actually use that type of media. What's important to say here is that social media is not in and of itself social marketing. What makes social media part of social marketing is if I have kind of a larger strategy, I have a larger goal, a larger vision, and I can use social media as one of the ways I get that messaging across, the way I promote that message, because that's the place where people are going to access that message. Okay, so social media, it's so funny, like trying to find good papers on social media for social marketing, because like every paper I find is like, you know, even if a paper from 2020, it's going to be like 2 years old. And what that means, or the research is going to be 2 years old, and that means that they're barely talking about Instagram, and they're rarely talking about things like Snapchat, and definitely not TikTok or any of these kind of newer things. And maybe by the time you're watching these videos, you're like, haha, Deanna, those things are like so 2020. You know, there's so many new things now. Like, it changes so quickly. So it's hard to really find, like I said, good research on this, because quite honestly, you guys probably know better than all the old fogies that are doing this type of research. I don't want to stereotype, but you know what I'm saying. So the good thing about social media and the bad thing is that it changes so quickly. So what's great about social media is that if you can sometimes be the first person or one of the first groups to adopt like a type of social media that's going to have the type of reach that you want to have, then you can get a good following in there. You can maybe target a lot of people. So there's a lot of ways of using social media to your advantage. And quite honestly, even things like the CDC or Health Canada, Obesity Canada, all of these institutions, like they're turning to social media as a way, as part of a larger strategy to communicate their potential, their product, right, of behavior change. So the CDC, and this is part of your readings, they have a document on best practices for social media. And it's actually kind of funny to look at the first pages of that, because again, some of the media they're talking about, like we're way past that, right? Or that's not like the big ones these days. But some of their essentials about using social media for health marketing or health communication, I think they're really well put together. Okay, so some of their suggestions: clear and well-defined objectives, research, and behavior change theories. So again, we haven't gotten to behavior change theories yet in this class, but once we do, that's going to really help you think about like what actually gets people to change. What theory is going to work best for my particular audience, given their particular values and age and etc. Okay. So again, good important part of a social media strategy is knowing your target audience. Okay, so you gotta know the people that are going to like or follow you and target the messages appropriate for them. Okay, so use of behavior change theories as a guide, that is a bit of a repeat there. Using social marketing techniques, so again, thinking of the price that people are going to have to pay to engage in that behavior, and maybe even addressing that price, for instance, or really trying to promote that product as like transformational. Everyone's looking for a transformation these days, right? So how can I tell them that physical activity, that eating more fruits and vegetables, okay, that not smoking, whatever it might be, is going to transform their lives in a way that that like fixes all their problems, which is not true, but like, you know, for them, it's like, how do we make this product seem like the thing that they absolutely need to have in their lives? Okay. And what's really key with social media is branding. And branding, yeah, it can be a bit exhausting, because like, I'm not like visually creative. I'm not really very stylish when it comes to branding. And you know, you can have really great content, but the package does matter. And the package matters because how we brand something, the colors we use, the fonts we use, the kind of images we use, that all speaks, that's all actually part of the message as well, right? Because maybe we're promoting like a luxurious feel. When you exercise, then you're going to feel more luxurious. Your life is going to be softer and smoother and easier, right? And that's kind of the branding. We might want to use soft colors, soft fonts, those kind of things, right? Conversely, if we're like, you're gonna crush it if you use my workout program, or you start exercising more, you're gonna like win all these things and whatever. That's gonna be like more of like maybe a dark colors, right? Or like black and white, or like these like more like competitive type fonts and feels, right? And having the same style of branding in all of your posts or communications, it also helps people know, hey, that's this person's point. I like this person, right? So I like their branding. I like this person, and that's their branding. So I'm going to click on this post because I know it's this person, okay? So again, something to think about is what channel, if you are going to use social media, is it going to be YouTube? Is it going to be Pinterest? Is it going to be TikTok? Is it going to be Instagram? What's going to work best for your target group? And what do you like using too? I'll just say this, like, as if you're just like an individual, not an organization promoting health, you also want to think about like, where do you communicate best? Remember, we also have to think about how our receivers are getting our message, right? If you are not one to make videos, like, this isn't easy. This, like, there's lights here, there's a microphone, like this is work, and not everyone feels comfortable in front of a camera. So maybe YouTube isn't your place. Maybe you're really good at creative posts and creative, like explaining diagrams. Maybe Instagram's really good for this. Maybe you're more like beautiful and stylish in the way you present things, and you like how Pinterest works and you're on there anyway. So you might want to use that. So there's a balance, especially if you're one individual health promoter, there's a balance between where your target audience and like, what do you actually like to do? Okay, because if you don't like the medium you're using, you're not going to keep using it. You're going to get annoyed with it. Trust me. Creative content is important, like looking what other people are doing and how can you offer something that's a bit different, or that's kind of missing, or that's phrased in a way. We all have a unique way of communicating the things we want to communicate. So what's your unique way? What do you add? I think a lot of people are worried that like social media is so saturated, and I know I feel that way myself. Social media is such saturated. It's like, what value do I provide? And the truth of the matter is that people are going to resonate with you for different reasons than they might resonate with me, right? Some people like me, some people don't. If people don't like me, they're not going to listen to me, and that's fine. But some people do resonate with me, right? And they resonate with the way I explain things. They resonate with kind of my style or whatever else. So I want to speak to what I can add value to and create content from that place of like who I am, an authentic me, which is hard to do. Engagement and action focused content. You guys are better at this than we are, but just like calls to action, or comment below, or those kind of things that get people to engage with that. And the good thing about engagement is that the more people engage with your social media content, usually the more likely you are to show up on their feed as well. Okay. And ideally for social media, especially if we're talking about a larger organization, it's part of a larger campaign too. Like, social media is going to get some people, but like grandparents, aren't necessarily on Instagram or YouTube, like I know older people from older generations that like, they're just like, they shun that stuff altogether. So if we want to really reach a larger group of people, we want a coordinated effort too. Okay, they suggest allowing free access to get to the most people, complement with mobile interventions as well. If we're again talking about like the CDC or Health Canada, to complement that with other interventions that help kind of solidify that message. And this beautiful word that we talked about a lot with the pre-seed proceed model is you want to evaluate. You want to ask people, does this work? Right? What did you think of my last campaign? What did you think of this message? What did you think about this post? At a lower level. At a higher level, you might want to send out a survey the people that are using your actual message, or actually evaluate if you're doing what you set out to do. Again, look back at the proceed side of the pre-seed proceed model for a bit more hints into that. Okay, something else I want to talk about, I usually talk about this later, but it's worth talking about here, and there's a little bit of this in the module as well, is this concept of persuasion. Like, how do I actually, if we're talking about health communication and we're trying to get people to change their behavior, how do I like persuade them? How do I, like Inception, how do I get that message meaning into their minds so they actually do it? And back a long time ago, the very famous philosopher Aristotle argued that there's three main persuasive tactics, okay? There's appealing to logic, logos, appealing to emotion, pathos, and appealing to moral character, ethos, okay? And you might choose to use all three, or you might rely on one. So for instance, like as the CDC or the WHO or Health Canada, they're more likely to appeal to ethos and logos. And I say ethos because they're like, we are the authority, we know our stuff, we have a moral maybe superiority in this arena, so you should listen to us, okay? Plus, here are these logical facts, okay? But people don't necessarily respond to logic all the time, and I think we know this. I think we know this when it comes to climate change is a good example. We can throw a bunch of data at people and they're like, yeah, but like, nah. Like it doesn't really appeal to me. And that's why appealing to emotion can be so effective. This is what Coca-Cola does. Coca-Cola doesn't tell you, our beverage is very sugary and delicious and refreshing. That's not what they focus on. You know, what's Coca-Cola's slogan? It's open happiness. They're selling happiness, right? If you ever watch like Mad Men, I love the show Mad Men, but in Mad Men they talk about how all advertising boils down to that concept of happiness, that everything you're doing is okay, and that you can feel even better if you do this thing. So an emotional appeal might be like, man, guys, I struggled with this thing for all of my life. I was so lost until I discovered how to control my appetite. And now that I know, now that this is such an easy part of my life, my goodness, it feels like such a weight has lifted off. I have the ability to just live my life without being like crippled by food and food decisions. I haven't given you anything logical there. I haven't told you that I'm a moral authority or that I know a lot. I'm an authority figure with appetite. I'm just appealing to your like emotions there, and that is really effective. So again, depending on your target audience, you're going to probably want to use one or the other of these or all of them to get the message across. Okay, and again, knowing your audience and what's going to work for them is an important part of the strategy. So for instance, that explanation I gave you, that just like pathos, appeal to emotion I just gave you, a scientist would be like, yeah, but what are you actually selling? What do you actually know? What's your background? What kind of credentials do you have? I wouldn't sell that same message to the scientific community, right? I would sell a message based on logos to the scientific community. Okay, so again, how we're making our persuasion depends on our audience, which is why that last module was so important. So again, social media is one particular area that can help us do our social, could be part of our social marketing strategy. It is not in and of itself social marketing strategy. You need more thinking. You need more of a global kind of complex view of that particular behavior and your target audience and all these other things. But social media is one of the particular channels that can help us reach people. It can help, it can be the place where we find our people and the medium through which we promote what we're trying to promote.